Turn it up. It's The Record Machine with your host, Jimi Holl.
I wake up in the morning, time for me to face the day. Wondering what it's gonna take for things to go my way. So I turn up the music, let my mind escape. 9 to 5, am I still alive? I gotta get away. I know what I really want. You want a little, but I want more. Rock in the USA, keep on moving down the highway. City to city, sea to shining sea. Rock at the US, rock at the US. Monday's fading through to Tuesday. Wednesday's going by too fast. Thursday says I'm 1 day away. Friday time to party left. So I turn up the music, raise my arms to the sky. Time to fly, time to live or die. But I'm gonna live tonight. I know what I really want. You know what I want, baby? You want a little, but I want more. Give me more. Rock in the USA, keep on moving down the highway. City to city, sea to shining sea. Rock at the US, rock at the US. Ain't no time to look back. Ain't no time to think about laying down. You want a little, I want more. I want it all. Rock in the USA, keep on moving down the highway. City to city, sea to shining sea. Rock at the US, rock at the US. Rock in the USA, keep on moving down the highway. City to city, sea to shining sea. Rock at the US, rock at the US. Rock in the USA, keep on moving down the highway. Sweet home, Chicago, Philadelphia, PA. In the USA, Detroit, Rock City, keep on moving down the highway. From the Steel City over to LA. Rock in the US, rock in the USA. Oh yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the bands SteelCity and Adora, guitarist Mike Floros is on the program. Hey, how you doing, Mike?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. What's going on with SteelCity now? A lot of changes, huh?
Yeah, we've got. I'm in 2 bands. The first band that I'm in, or first band that I formed, was Idora. The lead singer of that band is his name is Brian Colquitt. We grew up together in Youngstown, Ohio, and we grew up in a neighborhood known as the Idora neighborhood. It was on the south side of the city, and there was actually an amusement park right across the street from my house called Idora Park. Their biggest ride, their main attraction was called the Wildcat, which was a no seatbelt, 80-mile-an-hour wooden roller coaster that was just it was just speed from hell. There's no other way to say it.
Sounds like
and
fun.
so, what better way to pay tribute to your hometown than to name your band after your neighborhood and name an album after their scariest ride.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of a fun thing, I suppose. But that's a really fun band to be in because Brian and I have been friends honestly since we were, I think, 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
The only tough part about that is when we're recording and I am pretty much the producer, is having to say something like "do it again," because then I get that look because it's somebody you've been friends with your whole life. He's like, "Come on, dude, that was good enough. Do it again." And so then there's a little bit of I don't know, not fighting ensues, but it becomes kind of fun, when you've known somebody for that long. But I love being in that band. It's a different feel and a different vibe than Steel City. We're kind of going to be chasing more of a heavier sound. Not that Steel City's not heavy. We just want to go a bit heavier with Idora, more or less to serve Brian's voice because he's a belter. He doesn't have like that. He's not the melodic guy. The high pitched singer that was so prevalent in the mid 1980s, and that's kind of the sound that kind of serves Steel City a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking more for like a more powerful, more guttural kind of vibe with Idora. As for your question about Steel City, with all the changes, that was it's pretty interesting the way that worked out.
Mm-hmm.
I knew for a fact, to start off with Scott and Ron. Scott and Ron are pretty much best friends, and Scott will just say that his job is one that it takes a lot of his time. He's very high up in the organization where he works, and he really wasn't going to have the time to move forward with Steel City. Knowing that he and Ron are best friends, there were changes that needed to be made,
mm-hmm.
and I'm still really close with those guys, still talk to them, and when I go into town, into Youngstown, I'm sure that I'll see them both. I'm sure I'll go see their local bands play. But, like I said, time was just a big thing for Scott. So I knew I knew there was a change that was coming.
Mm-hmm.
As for the lead singer, John Kibble and I had talked, several times about really wanting to work with Roy Cathy.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we kind of had a man crush on Roy. Maybe it's the Bob Seger beard that does it. I'm not quite sure, but
it is a cool beard.
Roy's just, he does have a cool beard. I couldn't grow a beard like that, man. It's not possible.
It's nice.
But he's just I really didn't know much about Cold Sweat, to be quite honest with you. My first experience with Roy ended up being through watching him on stage with his band, The Fifth.
Mm-hmm.
They're one hell of a talented band. David Franco, he's a killer bass player. The guitar player, they've got something else too. But just watching Roy on stage, he just commands the stage with so much presence, and his voice, man, I mean, he is just outer worldly. And when Brian kind of presented us with the fact that he wanted to leave Steel City and he wanted to just go on his own,
mm-hmm.
it just kind of made that decision all that much easier. So we're just really happy and excited to have a new lineup going forward. We've already got a name for the album.
Mm-hmm.
We're calling the album Mach 2 because that's the way we're approaching it.
Okay.
And we're just really looking forward to it, with Roy on vocals. We've got DJ Zampa from House of Lords. He's going to be playing drums. Jason Cornwell he's formerly of the Eric Martin Band, is going to be on bass. And Tony, of course, will still stay on keyboards. And Tony's, he's a powerhouse, man. That dude, what a musician. So, and they're stuck with me on guitar. What can I say?
Well, you're pretty fucking awesome at guitar. So, I mean.
Oh, wow.
Wow,
the check is in the mail, dude. The check is in the mail.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I heard of Steel City, and I went out and bought the first album, and I thought it was phenomenal. I even dug the Vinnie Vincent cover, track 10. I thought that was pretty cool. And then I heard of Idora after that, and I got the EP, and I didn't even realize until like yesterday that Wildcat even existed. So
wow.
So I went on line to see what else you had, and I seen that on a site called Bandcamp, and I paid for the download and I bought it, and I've been listening to it, yesterday.
Oh, well, thank you for that, man.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great because when you said Wildcat to me, that's what made me look when we were talking the other night, on Facebook Messenger, and I'm like, I don't see that song Wildcat anywhere. There must be another album. So then I went and looked, and then I found it, and I was like, wow, this is pretty good stuff, and then I started researching the name, and then I realized, that it was part of your history growing up. It was a place in the town that you grew up in, and that the Wildcat was in fact a ride. So I think that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty cool story.
The song, well, thank you. It's like I said, I'm one of those hometown guys. I might live in Los Angeles, but I'm all about the hometown, man. I love where I'm from. I know that a lot of people pick on it and they call it the freeway exit from hell or whatever, but I just love being from Northeast Ohio, specifically Youngstown, Ohio. I take a lot of pride in it. And I don't know. The song itself, the Wildcat song, by the way, is, like I said, it pays tribute to the ride, but at the same time, the song itself is actually about sport bike riding, which I haven't done in a couple of years, and I greatly miss it. Mm-hmm. But I figured it was a great tie-in because riding a sport bike on a nice twisty road is kind of like riding a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. It's the same vibe. It's just a thrill a minute, and it's a love that it never leaves you.
Yeah, so, I read somewhere too that for a while you were out of music for a while, and then you decided to get back into the game. What made you decide to do that?
Well, what made me decide to do that, quite honestly, was Glam Rock City, Melodic Mafia, pages like that. Guys like Curtis Sheck and Wes Haskins. Just always, they're talking about these new bands all the time and how great they were, and it really kind of helped me rediscover a lot of this genre. I mean, I always loved the genre, but I with very few exceptions, I didn't have a lot of music that was new and relevant. Mm-hmm. And listening, joining those groups and becoming involved in those groups, it kind of let me discover a lot of other bands. Mm-hmm. And, thanks to them, that's part of the reason why I got back into playing, because I'd listen to these bands. I'm like, I can do that. I know I can do that. I don't want to say I could do it better, but I know I could. I knew I could be, in their league, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And that's what did it, man. I picked up my guitars, which I hadn't really played on a regular basis probably since about 2001 or 2002, maybe even earlier than that. And I just started playing again, and shook the rust off. And just hopefully with every album, hopefully the guitar playing will get better and better. The songwriting will get better and better. But a lot of these songs are actually they're old, man. A lot of these songs were written in the 80s, some in the 90s, and then some of them were written, more recently. But yeah, sorry, long-winded answer. I apologize. No,
that's cool, man. I mean, I originally found out about SteelCity through Bob Long, and then I found out about Curtis, I guess, through Bob Long, because they were kind of like, commenting on different bands that were coming out, like the Great Affairs and the Rumors, and then I found out about, Kibble Records, and, that's pretty much how I got all into, SteelCity and, Doll Hazard and Suicide Bombers and stuff like that. I mean, if it wasn't for that group, Glam Rock City, and, Curtis, he's a great guy. I've been talking to him, on and off on Facebook and stuff like that. And, that page is wonderful because it's a great platform for promoting, this music it's not dead. It's coming back. It's great, and I think it's everybody needs a chance to hear it. And I think you're making a lot of killer shit with SteelCity and Adora, man. I love it. Oh, well, thank you very much. And I think it's really great because there's such a good mix of like independent artists, like you mentioned, Suicide Bombers, Doll Hazard, Chris Damian Dahl and Sandy Hyde. Those guys are really talented songwriters, and they've got so many different I don't want to say projects, so many different bands going on between the two. With Sandy Hyde, he's also got that band Dirtbag Republic, and those guys are killer. Yep. Different vibe. They've got a little bit more of that Hanoi rock vibe kind of going on, at least to me. Mm-hmm. And I really like that style of music. And you got to thank
a lot of the guys in this genre that are just doing it on their own, whether they're recording it at a studio or they've, kind of propped up a bedroom in their house and made it a studio, whatever. You kind of have to throw props out to a lot of these guys because they're just really keeping the genre alive for people like you and me to enjoy that music. And in addition to them, then you've got some great labels. You've got Squib Kick Records, Frontiers, of course. Everybody knows about Frontiers, and you've got guys like John Kibble. These guys are people that actually, and Bill Chavis as well, with High Volume Music. But you've got all these guys who are just, really kind of investing themselves into the scene and finding really good music, and I think that's something we can all appreciate. Because you mentioned 3 bands that are on John's label with SteelCity, the Rumors, and the Great Affairs, and man, I got to tell you, that Great Affairs record, probably the best record I heard last year. I don't think there's anything else that even comes close to it. It's just, if you like early Tom Petty, that's bomb diggity, man. And it seems like everything John touches it's pretty solid. I mean, you look at Wild America, another good band. It's just cool to see all of these bands, like I said, whether you're signed to a label or whether you're independent, seeing them all just flourish in 2019 is pretty awesome.
It sure is, man. I got that CD, The Great Affairs. I love it. I listen to it all the time. I keep a few in my truck. I have the SteelCity in there, the Adorer, the Great Affairs. I have the Rumors in there. All of Chris Damien Dahl's stuff. I love his. I actually talked to Chris earlier this morning. Did an interview with him as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he mentioned that.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Because we texted back and forth a little bit before I came on here.
Yeah, he's really cool.
Love the guy.
Yeah,
he and I have chatted back and forth since we first met, quote unquote, on Facebook. We've chatted back and forth quite a bit, and we just find we have a similar love of music, although we disagree on what good Kiss albums really are.
That's funny. How do you juggle 2 bands and work a full-time job and have time for the family and stuff like that?
You make time for the things that you love. I am very fortunate that I have got a great career as a registered respiratory therapist, and it allows me to do something that I love, which was my passion my whole life, and that was to create music. The Idora thing came about as a result of, just wanting to create, and I knew that I also wanted to do something where I had more of a high-pitched singer, and it allowed me to create SteelCity. There's always time for something if you love it. There's always time. You make the time. And, like I said, there's time for my work. There's time for, there's time for the music. I still have time for my family, and I love spending time with them, too. That's actually probably the greatest joy in my life is, my wife and my daughter. So as long as you just make the time, man, you make it happen.
Now, Roy, he's the new lead singer of SteelCity. Now, will he continue to be the singer of the Fifth as well?
Absolutely. He's also in a Boston tribute band, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're called Don't Look Back.
Yes, he is.
He's got a lot of his own things going on as well, as do, each member of SteelCity has something else other than SteelCity. But, the nice thing about it is we're committed to making the best SteelCity record possible, and as our schedules all permit, we'll be playing shows as well. But
now,
Roy, of course, will still be the singer of the Fifth. That's his band. That's his baby.
Okay.
And like I said, I highly recommend checking them out for the people that haven't. They're very good.
Oh, I'm definitely going to check out his music. I watched some of his videos on YouTube. I actually saw videos of him when he didn't have that beard and the long hair too. He looks like a totally different guy.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't even know it was him until he opens his mouth, and then you realize it's the same guy. But he's a great singer. I mean, you couldn't have found a better guy to step in.
Well, that was the goal all along. Like I said, we were really excited to have him on board. And when I first talked to Roy, I sent him a few demos of what's ultimately going to be on Mach 2, and he seemed to really like them. And then when I sent him the rest of the stuff, I've talked to him a few times on the phone, of course, and then we messaged back and forth on Facebook, and he's told me that he's really digging the new material. He can't wait to dig in and put his signature on it, because that's what it's about. When you're making music and you're making these songs, the one thing I always tell anybody that's coming in, feel free to do whatever you want as long as it fits the components of the song. You've got complete freedom and free license to do whatever you like. Because if you're bringing somebody in to play music that you've written, you want them to feel like it's just as much a part of them as it is. You can't restrain people and you can't hold them back.
Right.
So that's the thing, and he's being given that opportunity. And dude, I can't wait to see what he comes up with.
Now, will the new album kind of be like the first one? I mean, I seen that you pretty much wrote all the songs and all the lyrics and the music on the first album, correct? Will you be doing the same on the second?
Well, I didn't write Back on the Street. That was my tribute to Vinnie Vincent and John Norum, who are two of my favorite guitar players of all time.
Well, I meant I meant all the ones besides track 10. I knew that was a Vinnie Vincent song.
I know.
But 1 through 9 you did yourself, correct?
Yes. Wrote the music, the arrangements and all that stuff. The one thing that was really cool, I'll give Brian Cole all the props in the world on this. He really hit a home run with the vocals on that. And when he wanted to change if he wanted to change the melody line, a little bit or something like that, I had no problem with it. And he did a great job. He was a pro in regard to that stuff. Same thing can be said with Roy going forward. Yes, in response to your question, I did write the songs on this one as well. Wrote the songs, the arrangements, but it's this again. It goes back to the point that I just made. If for instance, if Roy comes up with something and he says, "Hey, Mike, I really want to try this melody line on one of the new songs," go right ahead. Because to me, if it fits, it fits. If not, we just say, I don't know, man. Maybe we'll go back to what we were doing. And it's just the way it is. Like I said, the creativity is a part of all of us, and I want everybody to have that up. But in response to your question again, yeah, I did write songs.
And when will this album be released?
Album is supposed to be released sometime this spring. We are already in pre-production. Ty Sims is going to be, manning the engineering controls. He'll be producing the album, and he's already received the guitar tracks and the bass tracks. And what we're doing now then is that we're going to probably, once he says that the guitars and the bass are they're all good, we'll probably move forward. We'll get some drum tracks on there. Then we'll bring in Roy and we'll do some keyboard, put the keyboards on there again, Tony as well, and then just come back with the backing vocals and the lead.
Nice. And do you have a set schedule already to do some shows once it's released?
The only show that I know we'll do for sure this year, we don't have any set schedule. We don't have a set schedule. The show that I know we'll do for sure this year is New England Rock Fest 2, which is John's show. We were committed to that for certain. As far as will we do Rock and Skull, I'd say the likelihood is high that we'll do it. We just haven't talked with Justin about it yet. And hopefully we'll pick up some more shows. That's always the goal. We don't want to play just a couple of festivals gone. I think as a group we all want to try and get out there and kind of spread our wings a little bit and have some fun. We'll be able to tour. I don't know about that, but we might be able to do some fly gigs here or there.
Now, do you all live near each other or spread out?
No, and therein lies the challenge. Okay. I live in Los Angeles.
Right.
Jason lives in Massachusetts. I think BJ lives in Connecticut.
Wow.
Tony's in New York, and Roy's in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
So but the key is when you have a band that's spread out like that, you have tracks that you can practice to, and that's all you do. You just practice your tracks, and you show up for your gig, and you're right.
Nice. Now, will there be an Adora CD in the future?
Yes. Actually, the Idora CD was supposed to come out before Steel City. It just kind of got flip-flopped. We kind of kicked things into high gear with Steel City, and the Idora album will probably come out sometime a little later this year. I can't say for certain when. My best guess will be about 3 to 4 months after the Steel City is done. All the basic tracks for Idora are done. I will just probably have to reach out to a producer or two, or a mix engineer or two, to get that all squared away. And I have a couple people in mind, of course. So I'd love to work with Johnny Lima again if he'd be so gracious to man the controls. I'd be over the moon. Did
you have a title for that album yet?
We've got a tentative title, and thanks to the imagination of John Kibble, we really like it. We're thinking about calling it Speakeasy.
No, that's pretty cool.
So we're just it's essentially to tie in with what we're probably going to do image-wise for the band. So just go from there.
Nice. And do you guys play a part in the cover art for your albums too, or do you have like a certain artist that you use? Because the Steel City album cover is really kick ass. It's cool.
Well, that's Nello Dolomo who did that, and he's one hell of a graphic artist. He does a lot of stuff for Andrew McNeese's label, Melodic Rock Records. He also does a ton of stuff for Frontiers, and he's one of John's go-to guys as well, John Kibble. So we may look to utilize Nello, but the one thing that's pretty interesting about Brian Colquitt is not only is he one hell of a singer, he's a graphic artist and a fantastic photographer as well.
Nice.
So we may keep that in house. It just depends. We'll see.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, to have your singer do your cover as well. I mean, plus you'll save some money.
He did. Well, yeah, he did. But believe it or not, he did the last two.
Yeah. So I mean, and they both look cool. I like the flying V for the A on the end. That's really cool. I thought that was pretty brilliant to do that.
In regard to that flying V, the Idora logo, that was actually created, again, trying to keep things, quote unquote, all in the family. My first band was a band called Passion in Youngstown, Ohio. Believe it or not, it was a glam band. I was a jock playing in a glam band. And it looked a little strange. But Skip Kelly, by the way, is another person. Rest in peace, man, one of my best friends. He was really pushing me to get back into music. He was a rhythm guitar player in Passion. One of our lead singers actually did that logo that you mentioned.
Nice.
So, like I said, I try to keep all of this within my friends and keep it close, because it's something you want to involve everybody. You want people to feel involved, and you just want people to.
It's great.
Get some joy out of it. Yeah. And since it's like I said, the guy doesn't really sing anymore, and he's still just one hell of a graphic artist, he offered to do it, and I just said thank you. And I think he did one heck of a job on that logo.
Well, I think
really cool.
It looks really cool. I love that A, man. It really stands out, and that's what you want. You want people. Packaging is important too, because if the package doesn't look good, a lot of times people they won't even pick it up. You know what I mean? So branding is very important besides the content. I think, in my opinion, anyway. I think if you look at something that's really catchy, it draws you in, and then once you put that CD in the deck, then you really sucked in, because if you buy an Idora CD, you're gonna love it, folks.
Oh, thank you.
I love that CD, man.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. I really love hearing that. That's great. And the one thing I will tell you on the next Idora CD is I really want to showcase Brian's voice a little bit more. So I probably will only sing maybe 2 or 3 songs. I think we're going to have 10 or 11 on the album. And when Brian Colquitt steps to the mic, I want it to be all about his voice. I do enjoy, singing to a degree, but I'd rather him be the Paul Stanley or Gene Simmons of the group, and I'll be Ace Frehley, and I'll step back and I'll sing 1 or 2 songs, and I'll be happy with that.
That's pretty cool, because I was gonna ask you that question next, because I read somewhere a while back that Steel City was actually supposed to be your solo album, and then it turned into something else. Is that true?
Yeah, that is true. Initially, it was supposed to be a solo album. I reached out to Mr. Cole to sing a couple of songs for me, because there are certain songs that I just don't have the range for. I mean, I can't sing Back on the Street. There's no way. And so there was a couple of songs that I'd been struggling with, and I reached out to him for those, and he did a great job on them. So I asked him if he wanted to sing the whole album, and his answer was yes. So that's how that ended up coming about. But there may still be, in the distant future, there may still be somewhat of a solo kind of thing going on, but that'll be a ways down the road. I've got enough songs written for it. I've got songs that I think are, probably would fit my voice a little bit better, but it's something that I don't even want to think about right now, because I've got 2 projects with, or 2 bands. I kick myself on the word project. I've got 2 bands that really are going to command a lot of my attention, and I think, first and foremost being Steel City, because it's the first album up. That's really got to take all my energies. Then after that, the Idora, and then, like I said, shows. That's a big thing too, because Brian and I are trying to for Idora. Brian and I are trying to get something together so we can actually play some shows in his locale, which is Phoenix, Arizona.
That would be great. Now, do you guys have a Steel City website?
The only thing we have right now is a Facebook page. at some point I will probably end up making a web page for, not that I don't want this to come off as arrogant, but a web page for myself, just Mike Floros Music or something like that. Simply because, you know, with two different bands, it would be probably better to house everything in one place.
Right, you could just put different tabs on the website for each band, and then you just have to go to one domain instead of, you know, two different ones.
Correct.
Yeah, and that would be cool. That's a great idea, actually. And then you could put up all your, you know, a merchandise tab and tour date tab and, you know, history tabs and all, you know, contact and all that.
Right. And so that'll be the goal. It's just a matter of getting the website designed. I might have to reach out to, again, Brian Colquitt for that because, you know, there he is, the master of all trades, jack of all trades. He does that too. I know how to play guitar. That's about it.
Well, that's all that matters. And you sing good too, so.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you.
And you're a good,
thank you.
and you're a great songwriter. So I mean, you got, I think you're doing pretty.
Kind.
I think you're doing pretty well. You know, I mean, you can't do everything.
Yeah, well,
I mean, come on, you gotta take a break from some of this stuff. You gotta let somebody do the design, someone do the website, and you know, you can handle all the songwriting and singing and stuff like that.
Well, again, it's about involving everybody and letting them do what they're good at, because nobody wins when they're doing it by themselves. When you make it a team effort, it always comes out better. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. No one. Being self-centered never really serves anybody.
So if anybody wants to pick up Adora or SteelCity, they can just go to Facebook and search those bands on there, follow them, like them, and you know, they can purchase the CDs or do what I did, get the digital downloads and go from there, right?
Absolutely. SteelCity can be found kivelrecords.com/store. You can go to NEH Records if you want to go you know, a different route. And I think in Europe, I think people can go to aorheaven.com and they can order us through that. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Matthew Hunt and boonsoverstock.com as well, because Matthew was a really big supporter of the band right out of the gate. And he does a lot of good work. He has his own label as well called Brutal Planet. And he's got Scott Riff Miller has an album on his label, band's called Peacemaker. And it's that heavy like 80s metal, kind of groovy.
That's awesome. Mike, would you be willing to come back on again before or after the new SteelCity comes out and talk about that again?
You know what, man? I'm always available. It'd be my pleasure. Number one, and number two, you know, if you guys would love, you know, James, if you'd like to interview one of the other guys in the band, I'm sure they'd be available for you too. We're all pretty decent dudes. Yeah,
that would be great. Well, I appreciate you calling in and talking to me today, and I look forward to hearing the new album, and we'll stay in touch.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, Mike. We'll talk to you soon. All right, buddy?
All right, brother.
All right. Bye-bye.
See you.